10.2. We're rolling. 10.2. Nice job. Solving inequalities. All right. So here's the thing. First off, big notes here. Let's make sure that we make a note of it. All right. We got it in red right here. We solve inequalities exactly the same way as equations with one exception. Okay? One exception. If we divide or multiply by a negative on both sides, we must flip the inequality sign. Okay, let me just repeat that. When you're solving and you do the same thing to both sides, if the thing that you did was dividing or multiplying by a negative, remember to flip the inequality sign. If it's pointing to the right, it now needs to point to the left. If it's pointing to the left, it now needs to point to the right. Okay? Now, let's go down and practice some of this stuff. Super easy stuff, as long as you remember that one exception. All right. Example number 1 says, solve 6x minus 3 is less than 7 plus 4x and graph its solution set. Okay? All right. So think of it just like an equation. I'm going to rewrite it here. Get your variables together first. I'm going to try and move it so that I get a positive value for the variable first, okay? So I'm going to subtract 4x from both sides, and I'm going to get 2x minus 3 has to be less than 7, okay? Then I'm going to add 3 to both sides. Then that's going to leave me with 2x is less than 10. And I'm going to divide by 2, and that means that x has to be less than 5 to make this a true statement, okay? Great. Now they said graph the solution set. Very simple. Come over here. I'm going to put 1 right there. My critical number is 5. I'm going to put a number on either side, okay, just to give scale to the graph. I'm going to put a circle around the 5. I'm going to shade where the values are smaller than 5, okay? And I'm going to consider whether or not 5 can be a solution. When I look down here, it says x has to be less than 5. It cannot be 5. So I have to leave that dot over 5 open. Okay? Now, let's talk about this just for a moment. Some people like to think, oh, look, because it's pointing to the left, I shade to the left. Well, that's true as long as your variable's on the left. If your variable is on the right, like this, okay, something like that, you don't follow the arrow necessarily, okay? So rather than trying to get a quick little trick or fix to that, just think about x is all the values less than 5, so just shade where the values are less than 5, okay? That makes more sense, and you won't make silly mistakes just because the variable isn't on the left side, okay? Now, let's look at example number 2. Remember, we do this the same way that we do equations, with that one exception, okay? Let's keep that in mind. All right. It says solve and graph the solution set, so I'm going to rewrite, because you know I like to write a little bit bigger than they have it printed, okay? 3, 4 minus w minus 4. Okay. First thing I'm going to do is distribute. So I get 2w minus 16 plus 9 is greater than or equal to 12 minus 3w minus 4. Okay? Now I'm going to simplify. Remember, I simplified before I solved, so let me put these two terms together. 2w, and that's going to be minus 7, is greater than or equal to, I'm going to combine 12 and minus 4. That's going to give me negative 3w plus 8. All right? Now I'm going to add 3w, make that variable positive, okay? And that's going to give me 5w minus 7 is greater than or equal to 8. All right? Sweet. Now, let's add 7. Add 7 to both sides. Teachers. Okay? 15. And then I'm going to divide by 5, and w has to be greater than or equal to 3. All right? Now, it said to graph our solution set, so over here to the side, I'm going to put 3 right in the middle. I'll put 2 here and 4 here. Gives me a sense of the scale of the graph. I'm going to put a circle around the critical number. It says that W is greater than or equal to 3, so I'm going to shade the values that are greater than 3. And it said it could be equal to 3, so I'm going to color that in. All right? So that's a graph of all the solutions for that equation. Okay? Anytime I plug in a number that's greater than or equal to 3, then this inequality up here is going to be a true statement. All right? Nice. Okay, well, let's look at the next one. Example number 3. Boy, we're rolling right through them. It's easy stuff. It's easy stuff. Let's see, we're going to get, it says solve 4x is greater than 4 times x plus 2 and graph the solution set. Well, I need to distribute, so I'm going to get 4x is greater than 4x plus 2. Okay. Now, let me subtract 4x from both sides, and I'm going to get 0 is greater than 2. Well, that's not true. Okay, well then there are no solutions to this inequality. There's no value of x that I can plug in that would make that a true statement. Okay? All right. Nice job there. Let's look at the next example. Is there another example? Oh, yeah. Let's see how many we have. That's it. So this is our last one. Okay? And let me rewrite it. Y plus 5 is less than 7y minus 6 times y minus 1. Okay? All right. So I'm going to get y plus 5 is less than 7y, when I distribute that, minus 6y plus 6. Okay. All right. Well, let's see. That's going to give us y plus 5 is less than, remember, simplify before we solve, y plus 6. Okay. I'm going to subtract y from both sides, and that's going to give me 5 is less than 6. Well, that's always true. Infinite solutions. Okay, now it said graph its solution set, and here it is. I'll just put 5 on there because that's one of the numbers, and there's 6, and there's 4. And I'm going to shade every bit. Now, you know what? I need to go back and look at that last example, because it said graph its solution set. Okay. Here's a graph of its solution set. 0, 1, 2, -1, and nothing is shaded, because there are no solutions to that thing. Now, you know what? It occurs to me that none of these examples has the exception that I was talking about. Okay? So, I want to go down here, and let me see if I can come up with one quickly. Okay, I found some. Pretty quick too, huh? Isn't that amazing? All right, look. Here's an example of the first one. You'll see I've got -5w is less than or equal to 15. Okay? Now, what I'm going to do here is you know what? Here's a good example. If I wanted to change the sign, do you agree that I would add 5w to both sides? I think this is what I want to show you. Let's see. That would give me 0 is less than or equal to 5w, right, plus 15. And then I would subtract 15 from both sides, and that'd give me -15 is less than or equal to 5w. Okay? Now think about what happened. Do you see that the 5w now has the big side of the alligator mouth, right? Okay, over here it had the small side. Do you see how by flipping those two things, we have flipped the sign, all right? That's what's happening. But so let me show you. I mean, you don't want to have to do all of that. What we're going to do is we'll divide both sides by -5, like this, and we're going to get that w, and on the right side we're going to get -3. But remember, you have to flip the inequality. Okay? So the side where the variable is now has the big mouth, just like it did in that little example where I showed you where I moved everything to the right and something over to the left. You can see how instead of flipping the variable, we flip the sign. All right? I don't know if that made sense, but remember the rule here is that when you divide both sides by a negative or multiply both sides by a negative, you have to flip the inequality. Okay? Now let's go over here to the right, and I think this one works. I just kind of picked it. I didn't see what the answer was or anything. So let's work through it though. So we're going to get 7b plus 5 is greater than 10b plus 5 minus 3b minus 3. Okay? So now that's going to give us 7b plus 5 is greater than, let's combine these two. We're going to get 7b. No, this is just going to give us something different. Okay. Combine these two things, and that's going to give us plus 2. Subtract 7b from both of them, and that's going to give us 5 is greater than 2. Well, is that true? That's always true. So infinite solutions. Okay. I'm sorry that I just picked that one out. It looked like it was going to work for me, but it didn't. Okay. But remember, put a big star here. When you divide or multiply both sides by a negative, you're going to flip the inequality, right? It's pointing one way, now it's pointing the other. Okay. All right, great job. You guys are ready. All right. Good luck on your homework.